This was the starting point. This is the most common comment or question or thought that is evoked when we discuss about global health issues. This was the number one question that Bill Gates got when he spoke at TED last time. But if you save all these poor kids, you will destroy the planet. I talked with Al Gore, it's the number one question he gave. We were discussing with The Economist about better publication in global health. This is the number one mail they get. This is the number one question we get from Swedish secondary school kids. They say, well, we can't save all these kids here. We can't give them potatoes. We can't let them survive because then we destroy the planet. Then there will be more. Now, the truth is that this is not a moral issue. This is bloody ignorant people who think like that. Because it's not true. It's not about moral. It's actually, if we don't save all the poor kids, we will destroy the planet. And I'll show you why. Just simple mathematics. This is the opposite to the former Glimpse group, isn't it? You know, bloody rational. We have to be bloody rational. And I'm very conventional. I'm heteronormative, you know. Father and mother get together and they get 6 kids. In the rainforest, 4 die and only 2 survive to the next generation. It's called ecological balance. Easy mathematics, isn't it? Then comes agriculture, then comes industrialization. Mother and father get together, they get 6 kids, only 2 die. But that was enough for Karl-Oskar and Christina to get upset and emigrate to the United States, actually the quarter of the Swedish population. But they got 4 survivors. This is existing in ecological unsustainable situation. 2 persons in 1 generation leave 4 others. That means you double in 25 years, you get 4 times as many. In 50 years, you get 8 times as many. In 75 years, and in 1 century, you increase the population with 16 times. This is modern time. Father and mother, or any other combination you like. Get together, and they get 2 kids, no one die, and they are back in ecological balance. But don't tell me that people in the rainforest live in ecological balance with nature. They die in ecological balance with nature. It's only by burying most of your children that you maintain ecological balance. Don't be romantic. Don't have illusions. The intermediate is to exist in ecological unbalance. You can't stay there very long. You either will have to decrease this number, or you will have to increase that number. There's no other way. You can stick there for 1 to 2 centuries. Then you have to move back or forward. And this is what we want. We want to live in ecological balance, and everyone except you want washing machines. And you probably don't have kids. You have. And you hand wash for the kids? This is getting really interesting. We're going to run a documentary on you. So this is more or less where we are. Now, you know what I showed the first time at TED, which became so interesting, was when I showed this with size of family that well, length of life there, industrialized countries, developing countries, 1950, and what has happened is that the whole thing has changed. Like that. But still we have Afghanistan down there. Because the leaders, the Taliban, wanted their country to remain in medieval age. But most have gone up here already. And here is the bottom billion. Here is the bottom billion. It keeps growing. So even if you get hundreds of millions out of that box, you still have it here. And the lack of potato makes that kids keeps dying. The families are too poor down there. Now, when I asked the Swedish media elite, we have developed a new thing. We couldn't launch it here. We are making a global casino in Gapminder. So we can get really brutally vulgar, you know. and you have chips and you bet on it. So I tested the media elite. This was Bonnier's big event. And I let the media elite of Sweden guess where Iran was today. Iran was down here in 1950. They had 40 in life expectancy. They had 7 children. And these dots is the elite of the Swedish media where they thought Iran was today. Only 1 was right. The Swedish media elite is about 25 to 30 years after their time. We have this embarrassing test, and I also had all the venture capital in Stockholm, and they were 35 years after their time. So they were probably had those incentives we heard of before. That keeps them focused so they don't see what changed, you know. And whereas we are, as we say in Gapminder Foundation, we are not just non-profit, we are strategically non-profit, not ideologically non-profit. We like business. When boring things have to be done, give people an incentive and let them go. When serious things have to be done, do other things. Do it in other ways, you know. Now, this is the world 1800. You have income per person here, $200, $2,000, $20,000 that way. And here you have life expectancy. The healthiest country in the world, 1800, had 40 years of life expectancy. And those countries were also the richest. This one and this one. And of course, it was the slave owners who had such a profitable sugar production in the Caribbean who were there at that time richest. And this is what happened with the world. Huh? And you see how it catch up? And you have the flat world of Thomas Friedman. The boxes are coming this way. The boxes are coming this way. Huh? Question is, what will happen with this box? And that keeps a completely new analytical awareness and realization. How should we handle that one? Just to prove my case here. Look at, this is Zhang, our guest researcher from China. He thought it was stupid to talk about all these countries, so he made all countries of the world blue. And then he made the provinces of China red. Because the important is, you can't compare China with the world. You have to see the diversity within China and compare it with the countries of the rest of the world. So this is now 1952. Sweden was up there. We had 72 in life expectancy and $9,000. Shanghai was down there, 46 and 1,007. Actually, Sweden was at that Shanghai position 1870. 1870. Shanghai was 70 years after Sweden, you know, and we can fade down the others, and we look at the catch-up of Shanghai to Sweden, you know. How many years do we have to go? Shanghai is today where Sweden was 1995, about 14 years after. They went from 70 years behind to 14 years behind. Huh? So they're up there. Huh? This is what happened. They're moving this way. Huh? And we will also see that what happens with the crisis. Here I have instead projections. It is the IMF, International Monetary Fund's projection after the crisis and the life expectancy at birth here. Also projections from WHO. And this is what happened. I will show you this terrible crisis. Watch up. Here we go. Here we go. Lehman Brothers is still happy they are. And here we are, you know. Did you see? You missed the crisis. You missed the crisis. You missed the crisis. Here we are. I put it to slow play, and here we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 2 steps backwards and then forwards. It's nothing. It's nothing in the course of human history. The only thing that happened, look at United States and China. Look at United States and China, and you can see that China never take a tango step backwards. They just move on, whereas United States gracefully take 1 step backwards to wait for China. This means that China got an extra 2 years faster. Ta-ta, they catched up. It's a very small thing. You know, the crisis is a little like this just, and then it's over. So it's like rabbit sex or something like that. In the course of the history. So the world is like this. The bottom billion today get 6 kids or 2 or 1 die. We've taken away smallpox. We don't have enough things to kill them with. That's why population is still growing in that box. We have taken, we don't have a situation where letting the children die in this box will help anything, because they are already growing. We don't have any population which is under control by death. It's 100 years ago. We don't have, they have to kill people to do that. Like this. That's the only way to get them away. And then you think that you will make things better by not getting vaccines to them. Start to blame Bill Gates without counting. You have to count. You have to have business plans of some sort for the world, you know. And the only thing we can do here is not increasing this number 1 death to 2 or to 3. Up there, 6 minus 2, it means a child mortality rate of 300 per 1,000. Not even Afghanistan have it today. Not even with the upper range of the uncertainty of Afghanistan. And 6 minus 1 is the most common we have. It's about a child mortality rate of about 150 per 1,000. We just don't have high enough child mortality rates anywhere in the world that can stop population growth. So there's no way this notion that helping poor kids survive in any way would increase population growth, it's absolutely marginal. The only thing we have to do is to get 2-child families. The only way to go green. And to get 2-child families is very good to avoid this one dying. Also, you have to provide female education, but not only female education. Female education is often just a measure of women's empowerment. But women's empowerment is so difficult to measure, so we measure that girls go to school. But it's not, only half of the impact is the fact what they learn in school. The most important is that they can go wherever they want. This is the most important thing. So this is what we need. We need to go green. And we need to go green in all boxes. We can't kick them away, or we can't, again, we have to get this with us, because otherwise this box will produce 1 new billion. They will double within 25 to 50 years, and we will remain unstable, and we will have an amount of pirate that we cannot even imagine today. We will have an amount of piracy and illicit drugs and problems in the world that makes climate a minor problem. We have to get everyone over here to the washing machine. And then we can have a decent world. This is the G20 mindset. And I will end by honoring George W. Bush. It's rarely done in Sweden. So I will do that. In his last month, he realized there was no money in G7. He phoned George Brown and said, "You have money. We need money. I need money to save the banks." "No, we have no money." G7 was like this. They had no money at all. So they phoned Lula, the socialist trade union leader in Brazil, and asked, "Do you have some money?" "Sí, temos dinero. We have some money here. We can borrow. But then I want to sit in the board of the IMF." They phoned Saudi Arabia. "We always have money." And Putin phoned and said, "I also have money." And the Chinese, of course, had most of the money. The emerging markets, emerging economies, whatever you call them, middle-income country, that's where the money is, that's where people work hardest, that's where people study physics, mathematics, and chemistry, that's where the big pharma is moving. The West Plus is over there. The world is converging. We have a converging world, and the question is just whether this last one will move beyond, the bottom billion here. Will that move with us and come into a modern, acceptable world? Of course, when I say this, I have to put my 3 buts. It's not sustainable. We have to do things in Copenhagen that is really serious. United States cannot continue to allocate $280 billion on agricultural subsidies and $3 billion on green technology. 100-fold more for grandfather than for grandkids. It's wrong. Bloody wrong. Al Gore hasn't succeeded yet. He has got the prices. He hasn't changed the federal budget. That's what it's all about. Don't get the last billion with us. And it won't happen with one superpower. We have to govern the world. This is the new mindset. Acquire it and good luck. Thank you very much.